Ladies and gentlemen, it is customary during convocations such as this to honor individuals whose achievements clearly set them apart from others. We do so today through the conferral of honorary degrees to 3 outstanding individuals. The conferral of an honorary degree is a symbol of the university's respect and affection. It is a privilege conferred by the Board of Trustees after careful consideration of each candidate. Today's honorary degrees will be presented by Reverend James J. Marr, CM, President of Niagara University. Assisting him will be Brother Martin Schneider, CM, Coordinator of Commencement Activities. Our first recipient is Mr. Clint Hill, retired Special Agent of the United States Secret Service. The citation will be read by Dr. John Stranges, University Professor. Mr. Hill, please come forward to center stage and join Father Marr.
An image of today's honoree is burnt forever into the memories of Americans, even if they do not all necessarily know him by name. On November 22nd, 1963, in Dallas, Texas, on hearing what sounded like gunfire, Mr. Clint Hill, then a special agent with the United States Secret Service, leapt onto the trunk of the presidential limousine carrying John F. Kennedy and his wife, Jacqueline. Mr. Hill heroically pushed Jacqueline Kennedy back into the limousine's rear seat from where she was situated on the trunk, and then used his own body to shield the President and First Lady from gunfire as the vehicle sped to Parkland Memorial Hospital. Mr. Hill remained with Mrs. Kennedy and her children during the emotion-filled days following the assassination, and was responsible for their protection until shortly after the election of Lyndon B. Johnson. He was then assigned to the detail protecting President Johnson, later becoming special agent in charge of all presidential protection. Mr. Hill continued to serve the United States under President Richard Nixon, who promoted him to Assistant Director of the Secret Service for all protection in 1972. Late in 1973, Mr. Hill was informed by Treasury Secretary George Shultz that he was under consideration for promotion to Director of the Secret Service. He withdrew his name, honestly informing the Secretary that he no longer felt physically or emotionally capable of performing at the highest level. Mr. Hill continued his role as Assistant Director under President Gerald Ford until July 1975, when he resigned from the Secret Service. A native of North Dakota, Cliff Hill was sent to a children's home within days of his birth. Adopted by caring parents, he grew up in rural Washburn and then attended Concordia College in Minnesota. Following graduation, Mr. Hill served in the United States Army for 3 years before joining the Secret Service in 1958. He was assigned to protect President Kennedy's family in November 1960 and soon became Mrs. Kennedy's guardian and close friend. In the aftermath of the assassination, Mr. Hill struggled with health-related problems. He took no time off after the assassination and never sought treatment. His friend and later co-author, Lisa McCubbin, observed that he served honorably with dignity and with steely courage, all the while suffering silently. In 2012, Mr. Hill published his memoir, Mrs. Kennedy and Me, which detailed his close relationship with Mrs. Kennedy during some of the happiest and darkest moments of her life. The book became a New York Times bestseller, praised universally for its honest prose, free from salaciousness and gossip. The following year, he published 5 Days in November, a riveting account of the assassination and its immediate aftermath. His third book, 5 Presidents, has appeared in bookstores this month. Former Secret Service agent Abraham Bolden has called Mr. Clint Hill one of the most diligent, responsible, trustworthy, dutiful agents ever to serve the White House detail. This afternoon, Niagara University is proud to salute a man who has selflessly risked his personal well-being for the protection of our leaders and consequently for the security of our country. Clint Hill is a true American hero, and it is with deep gratitude that we confer on him, honoris causa, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
Thank you, Dr. Stranges, and congratulations, Dr. Hill. We now invite you to make a few remarks to the audience.
President Father Marr, President Emeritus Father Levesque, Dr. Stranges, members of the Niagara University faculty, graduates of the class of 2016, thank you for this honor. I started life in an orphanage on the North Dakota prairie and ended up accompanying presidents of the United States to places and events most people only dream of. I studied to become a history teacher, but events intervened, and instead, I became a witness to history. I was thrust onto the pages of history not by choice, but by circumstances. I was humbled to be able to serve 5 presidents, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, and Ford. But when I was forced to retire from the career I loved at the age of 43, I thought my life was over. I spent decades in seclusion, not living, but simply existing. 6 years ago, I met a young lady who happens to be here today, Lisa McCubbin, who helped me escape from my emotional dungeon. It wasn't until I sat down and reflected on my experiences and wrote about them with her assistance that I realized how truly blessed I have been. Now, at age 84, having written 3 books, I have finally fulfilled my original desire to be a history teacher. God does indeed work in mysterious ways. You, the members of the graduating class, should be proud of your achievement. You have finished one step in your life's work, and now you enter the period where you put the knowledge gained to use. Find what truly makes you happy, and you will be rewarded with satisfaction. Life is a journey. It is not how you start the process, it's how you finish that counts. Again, thank you for this high honor, and best of luck to each and every one of you.